Good evening, bipeds. Hi, I am Steven Sashen, your host for this Ask Me Anything, CEO and co-founder of XeroShoes.com. And this is an Ask Me Anything, which means you can ask me anything. The way it works is pretty simple. All you have to do is type in questions or comments below. I see them on my screen over there. So when I'm looking over there, it's because I'm reading what you've written, and then I will respond. I don't have any agenda for this evening. We'll stay as long as you want to stay or leave as soon as you want to leave. The whole idea is you can ask me about barefoot running or running in minimalist shoes or walking barefoot or walking in minimalist shoes, how to pick a minimalist shoe. What is a minimalist shoe? Is that the same as a barefoot shoe? Isn't barefoot bad for you? Doesn't it hurt you? Or whatever other questions you can think of. Or what's wrong with regular shoes? Or if shoes are so bad, how come people wear them? Or whatever you can think of, I'm here to answer. You can even ask me what I'm cooking for dinner, although I don't know if I'm going to cook anything tonight because I'm kind of tired. So if you don't know what Xero shoes are all about, let me just give you that one really quickly. It's very simple. We're all about doing what's natural. You can probably think of many things where we've come up with some incredible technology to improve on nature, and it really either doesn't do it or makes things even worse. Well, it's kind of like that with feet. Shoes have not improved on what's natural. Your feet are supposed to bend and flex and move. You have a quarter of the bones and joints of your whole body in your feet and ankles. 206 bones in your whole body, 52 in just your feet and ankles in both feet. That's supposed to let them bend and move. That's what joints do. That's for balance and agility and mobility. If you don't let them bend and move, then that balance, agility, mobility is compromised, and other joints upstream, like your ankle, your knee, your hip, your back, try to take over, but that ain't their job. So the thing we do at Xero Shoes, we try to let your feet do their job so the rest of your body can do its job. Speaking of which, the second job your feet have, it's to feel things. You have 20,000 nerve endings in each foot. Actually, it might even be more. That's designed to send information to your brain about what you're feeling with your feet, how your feet are moving to help you move better. And that information goes to your brain, then it goes back to your feet to allow you to move better. So if you don't let yourself feel, that can create balance and agility issues as well. So what do we do here? Let's grab, I'm going to grab a different shoe that's over there. And I will answer Marco's question in a second. So we make shoes that have a wider foot-shaped toe box. The wider part, your toes aren't supposed to do this. They're supposed to, be able to move. You don't do push-ups like this. You do push-ups like this. It gives you better strength, better power, better balance. Same thing with your feet. We make them low to the ground for balance and agility, super flexible to let those joints do what they're supposed to do. We make the soles so you have protection and traction, but also that ground feeling to tell your brain what's happening at the bottom of your body to help you move your entire body. By the way, these things are backed with a 5,000-mile sole warranty, unlike traditional running shoes, for example, where they say you need to replace them every 300 to 500 miles. Also, if you want more or less barefoot feeling with our shoes, you can have that. Just either keep in or remove the 2mm sock liner insole, keep it in for a little more protection, take it out for a little more barefoot feel. And we have people who use our shoes you can see boots, shoes, and sandals that people use for pretty much everything from taking a walk to hanging out with friends, to paddleboarding, to doing CrossFit yoga, to running, to hiking, to climbing Kilimanjaro, to running literally across Madagascar. I mean, pretty much anything you can think of. Playing Dance Dance Revolution, e-racing. I'm trying to think of all the things people have told me. Skydiving, surfing. Anyway, it's a long list of things. So, all right, a couple of questions came in. I'm going to answer them. Marco asked, what's my hair care regimen? I did say you can ask anything. I am really lucky. Well, two things. One, I don't really care about this stuff too much, but Lena, my wife, said that she would leave me if I cut it. So it looks like this, although kind of do need a trim. Luckily, I have super low maintenance curly hair. If I had to do anything to keep it doing anything, I wouldn't do it. I'd shave it. So that's my hair. My hair care regimen is I jump in the hot tub in the morning. I get my hair wet. I wash it. I shampoo like once a month. That's a whole other story. All right, let's see. Next question from Gabby. When's my next podcast? I'm not sure. We're still working that out. When will I make even wider sizes? So here's the thing about width. There are a couple issues about this. I'm going to clear up a whole bunch of misconceptions really quickly if I can. The first is this. Foot width and shape are on a bell curve, and we can't accommodate everybody on that bell curve, because if you made something really wide, it doesn't work for people who have narrower feet, and vice versa. The second thing, so anyway, our shoes cover a broader selection of that bell curve than almost any other, and that's what we're trying to do, to make something either wider or narrower, or even just to have like a wide and a narrow, which also doesn't really work. We'd have to have double the amount of inventory, double the amount of space, spend double the amount of money, and we're not there as a company yet, to be frank. But there's a big misconception about width. I'll tell you the story. We were at a trade show in December, and a guy comes up and says, I have a 4E foot. Will your shoes fit? And I said, maybe not. And he put on this shoe. He actually also put on the Speed Force, which I'll take mine off because I'm wearing one. He also put on the Speed Force, and they both fit his foot. How is that possible? And the answer is because width is not fit is not a two-dimensional thing. Width is not really a two-dimensional thing. I mean, you can measure it two-dimensionally, but what makes something fit or not has to do with volume, the three-dimensional thing, not the two-dimensional thing. It just so happened this guy had a really high instep, but a narrow or shallow forefoot. So when he put the shoe on, it just naturally spread out. Which brings me to a misconception. Many people on the internet in the barefoot and minimalist world think that the way you tell if a shoe is going to fit your foot is by taking out the insole and seeing if you step on it, if it's wider than your foot. Not the case at all. Because the way a shoe is constructed, any shoe, the insole can't be as wide as the shoe. It's not physically possible. It can't be as wide as how the shoe can stretch and bend and flex. It's literally not possible. It can't be. And if you have a shoe that's like a leather shoe, for example, that stretches. A hemp canvas shoe, it stretches. So there's some misconceptions about width that create problems for people finding the right size. That said, if you want something wider, do us a favor. Go to xeroshoes.com/feedback. Let us know and give us some information about like your foot width and more the volume. Like take a tape measure and do some measuring and give us some information, or show us, your foot next to or in at one of our shoes and point, or any shoe, and point to where it's problematic. Get us some info, because this whole idea of just like wide versus narrow versus normal, it doesn't actually mean anything, and we need to do things based on meaning. So anyway, that's that. KB, I have caveman feet. So that's a whole other story. First of all, KB, I appreciate you saying that, because we have literally had people who have feet that are pretty much square say, how come you don't make shoes to fit me? And all I can say is, have you ever had shoes that fit you? And then they say no. And I go, we're not there yet, but we're always looking for a possibility. And also double check and look at our sandals, because the sandals fit wider than the shoes. And we have templates that you can print out. That's where it does make sense to step on it and see how your foot fits on the template, because the sandal is two-dimensional, just a flat plane. And even that is kind of goofy, because you can have your toes extending over the edge, over the sides a little bit, and it would still fit fine. It's a personal preference. So I know some people who wear their sandals with their foot going over the edge, their toes over the edge, they like it. I don't do it. Mine are like slightly behind the edge, or the front edge. But anyway, personal preference is an issue there. All right, let's see. Gabby says, thank you for being accessible with these AMAs and your calls. That's very, very kind of you. Marco, in all seriousness, love my Xero shoes. I bought about 9 pairs and can't go back to anything else. That's how we get you. Am I familiar with grounding and earthing? This is coming from Sivant Kalmar. Yes, I am. And the answer is no, we won't. And the reason for that is simply this. To make something that's electrically conductive, it compromises the integrity of the sole in a way that would be problematic. It either makes things so they're too rigid, or it makes things so that as they wear out, the thing that makes something genuinely conductive can dig into your skin, do many other things. If you want grounding benefits, all you have to do at any given point during the day, touch any grounded object. It really is the same. So we're not going there. First and foremost, most important thing for us is simply natural movement. That will outpace anything. Or the other thing to do, what I do most of the time, take your shoes off. I spend a lot of my time barefoot. In fact, I don't know that I've ever, I think it's only been like 3 times out of a few hundred, many hundreds now that I think of it, at least 10. I've been going to Costco almost every Sunday for probably 10 years, because that's when I go do various bits of shopping for the week. And most of the time I'm barefoot. The other day I was in there like I am now. Wait, I'm taking off my other shoe so I can show you this. I went in there like this. I never wear matching colors. People notice, and then it starts a conversation. Anyway, I'm in line at the pharmacy, and a guy behind me goes, hey, your shoes don't match. And the pharmacist, without looking or missing a beat, says, he's wearing shoes? So the other thing you can do is just take off your shoes every now and then. All right, there's that. How suitable is the gum-soled Kelso for running? All of our soles are back to the 5,000-mile sole warranty. Here's the issue with with answering that question kind of broadly, though, is if you have really good form, if you basically land with your foot underneath your center of mass, more vertical than what many people do, which is scraping, or like heel striking with your foot out in front of you, or some people put their foot way out in front of them and then land on their toes, also not good. That puts braking forces and creates excessive horizontal force, aka friction, aka abrasion. Or you push off, same thing, excessive horizontal force, friction, abrasion. You do that in any shoe, it won't last as long. But frankly, the Kelso hasn't been around that long, and it's not really designed as a running shoe per se, because it's heavier, it's made of leather. So I don't have a great answer for you, but we made it with the same abrasion characteristics, so should last really, really long, and it's backed by our 5,000 mile sole warranty. Yeah, wait, I think I missed a couple of questions. Oh, there we go. There's Marco who said that thing twice. How do I feel about other minimal shoe brands? Are your shoes the best? What about brands that are more minimal than yours? They're out there, but I'll be courteous and not name anyone now. All right, so I love them all. Actually, that's not quite true. I love the ones that are legit. I love the minimalist shoe companies that are making truly minimalist footwear. There's a lot of people calling what they do minimalist, but it ain't. It has either too much cushioning, or it's too narrow, or it's got an. So I'll mention this one by name. What the hell? Merrill used to call me, and they would say, "Hey, we have a new minimalist shoe, a new barefoot shoe. Do you want to try it?" And I would say, "No." They'd say, what do you mean? I said, I can't get it on my foot. It's too narrow in the midfoot, and it has a kind of built-in arch. I don't want that. They go, well, do you want it? I go, well, no. I mean, I'm not going to wear it. They go, well, I mean, do you want it? I went, dude, if you sent me the shoe, I'd sell it on eBay. They said, do you want it? I go, yeah, sure. And so they'd send me the shoe. I'd sell it on eBay. So you want to find a shoe that's actually truly minimalist. Flexible, lightweight, doesn't have excessive cushioning or any cushioning, depending on what you're looking for. And ideally, works for your foot as well. So, in fact, Irene Davis, from when she was at Harvard, talked about what she calls minimalist shoes and partial minimalist shoes. The partial minimalist shoes had some heel lift, had some excessive cushioning, were too narrow, etc. And from her research, she showed those are worse for you than something like that, because mostly because of the cushioning, because they eliminate the feedback that you get from those nerve endings in the soles of your feet, which makes it hard to know how to run with proper form. Because basically, if you're getting feedback, if you're running barefoot, improper form hurts. Proper form feels great. So that's that thing. Why are ours the best? I'm not even going to say we're the best, because there's a lot of different shoes for a lot of different reasons. There may be another minimalist shoe from another company for a particular use case where theirs may be better than ours, or vice versa. So I can't really answer about shoes in general, because there's so many. I will say our sandals kick butt, and we've really nailed that one. And we're still developing more sandals and shoes and boots. We're always developing, so there's always more that we can do. But the biggest thing, we have our 5,000 mile sole warranty. We have a broader collection for more things. Our prices are often more affordable. Some things that are more minimalist, I think that's great. Again, like when I was talking about width before, there's a similar thing about how minimal you want to go. And man, this is misconception day. So a lot of people think the most important thing is the thickness of the sole. Not true, because there's not just the sole. There's stuff that goes inside the shoe to attach the sole to the rest of the shoe. There's other construction things. So there can be more than just the sole that's telling you how thick something is. More importantly, though, imagine the difference between a quarter of an inch of feathers and a quarter inch of steel. Clearly, one is going to be more comfortable than the other. One is going to be more flexible than the other. And so if you're just looking at the thickness of something, it's not giving you all the information you need about whether that's going to give you the feedback that you want, the flexibility that you need, the durability that you want, etc. So it's not as simple as just looking at thinner versus thicker. And we have, and there's the other issue of use case. So this is the Speed Force. This is our most barefoot shoe, not our most barefoot product. That would be the Genesis sandal. And then after that, actually the Jessie sandal, and then the Cloud sandal, and the Jessie, and then the Z Trek sandal, then the Cloud, then the Z Trail. That's right behind me over there. And then with shoes, again, really, really very close to barefoot, a little bit thicker, like a millimeter thicker. And then if we get into our trail shoes, like that one with the Daylight Hiker, or do I have, I don't even have one behind me. Hold that thought. Stay on target. Wait. Or our Excursion Fusion, our fully waterproof technical hiker. Those have a thicker sole because there's people who are saying, look, I'm on trails and I need more protection or I need more traction. And so we build things. Again, natural movement is the most important thing, getting feedback right on its heels, pun intended. So we want to make sure everything's flexible and gives you the feedback you need and the protection you need for the use case that you're doing. So I hope that's helpful in talking about the misconception about thickness, which you could take way out of context in ways that I don't recommend. Barefoot Mover says, great seeing you here. Steven, great seeing you here as well. Gabby, when will the Speed Force be back for women? I don't have a good answer for that. Supply chain issues. We're dealing with that. So I'm just not sure what's happening, unfortunately. Will we be putting out, this from Derek, will we be putting out any options with vegan leather? The Kelso would be more appealing for sure. Oh yeah. Okay, it's misconception number 3. So vegan leathers, they suck. That's actually not a misconception. That's just the way it is. They're just not good at this point. It's the simplest thing I can say. I'm going to tell you a story though that I enjoy because at the end of the story, I was right. So a guy calls and says, "Hey, why aren't you using more vegan products?" And by the way, we try to make things vegan friendly whenever we can, but there's sometimes use cases don't allow that, and some cases, admittedly, style. So the Kelso, it's a retro shoe. It was designed based on a leather sneaker from the 70s and early 80s, and so that's why we did it that way. We may do other versions of it, but that was the inspiration. So he calls and says, "Why don't you do more vegan shoes and why don't you use other vegan products?" And I said, "What are you thinking of?" And he said, "Well, like the pineapple leather." And now I've been in this business 12 years. We have developers and designers who've been doing this for 30 years, 40 years, 45 years. I'm going down the line. And so I know about this stuff. So I said, oh, the pineapple leather, the one that explicitly says do not use for footwear. And he said, well, what about the mushroom leather? I said, the one where they've made 1 square yard of it? And he said, what about the, and he, rattled off a few others. And all of them were either not suitable for footwear because they can't handle all the bending and flexing, or they were too, at all, or they just fell apart because of getting wet, getting dry, getting wet, getting dry. Suffice it to say, they didn't work. And my favorite part of the conversation was after we went back and forth like 5 or 6 times, and I had an answer right away because it's my business. His response was, what makes you such an expert? Sometimes you just can't win. We are looking at one interesting product that is a vegan leather that is made for footwear, but we haven't tested it yet to know if it's worth using, and it's made from cactuses. That's all I can say. So we're looking into it, but the problem with a lot of the leather substitutes, they're suede substitutes, but leather substitutes, they're either too plasticky, sometimes in look, but also in feel, which means they don't wear the same way, they don't flex and bend the same way, they're not as comfortable. So we just haven't found ones that allow us to make the kind of quality product that we would like and make it vegan friendly. So we have a whole bunch of other vegan products. That one's vegan, that one's vegan, that one's vegan, that one's vegan, that one's vegan. Let's see. That one's vegan, 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 that one's not, that one is, that one is. So on this wall of however many 15, 16 shoes, 1 that's not. 2 that aren't. That one and that one. Okay, moving out. KB, my wide feet blew out the soles of Xero shoes of the seams. I'm very sorry to hear that. Send us photos so we can figure out, if there's a there, anything we can do. Gabby, again, do you think, I'm not complaining, I'm just commenting. Do you think I need to make wider shoes and several brands make wider minimal shoes? Again, this wider minimal shoes than us thing, you've got to look and see how they've determined that, because a lot of times it's like stepping on the insole, which is not a way to determine that. That's thing number 1. Thing number 2, maybe there probably are some that are wider. This is the other, I'm letting you behind the scenes on all this stuff. This is the other challenge about running a footwear brand. You want to make something that functions well, that gives you the benefits and characteristics you want, that also looks good enough that people want to wear it. I can definitely think of 2 or 3 shoes off the top of my head, undeniably wider than what we make, and undeniably look like when you get out of the car, there'll be 20 other guys getting out of the car with you, all with noses and makeup and clowns is what I'm saying. There's a lot of clown shoes out there, and so finding that balance between something that's going to give you everything you want functionally and still look good enough that people want to wear it and don't have other people pointing at them going, "What's with the clown shoes?" It's a real challenge. So, that was Gabby saying, I think you do need to make wider shoes. Totally get it. Again, send that info to xeroshoes.com/feedback. Gum shoes on the Aptos. We looked into that. This is from Rich Mercer. And I'm glad you submitted that feedback, because then we will respond. Well, we'll take that into consideration. When will the Gracie be available? When things get on here from being off the boat? That was almost an English sentence. I don't know when that is. We've had stuff land in Denver, which is where we are, be at the rail yards in a container on the ground, and they couldn't find a truck to carry it the last 2 miles. And we said, well, can we just come pick it up ourselves? And they said, that's illegal. So I don't know. It's an unfortunate answer. We're hoping soon, but we just don't know. KB, thanks for the feedback. You're welcome. Jethro, Bradley, I've been wearing Xero Premier for the last year. Tried to transition to barefoot shoes slowly, but I still get some discomfort in my heels. Any tips for good walking form? Yeah, go to our site, and in the Learn More section, there are a couple of links for walking and running. The issue with heel pain, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Even if I put on a white coat, you wouldn't believe me. Not with this. If I kind of did this, maybe, but probably not so much. Heel pain, it can be caused by a number of things. The most common is actually calf tightness. So it's pulling on the plantar fascia from the calf side, not the foot side. So one thing you can do to check and see if that's going on is get some serious massage on your calf. You can do it yourself, have someone do it to you, foam roll. Really, really try to work it out, get some heat in there, and see if that makes it feel any better. If it does, then your calf tightness is the thing that's causing the issue. And the thing to pay attention to for calf tightness is two things. One, how do I want to describe this? Make sure you're not pushing off too much with your toes, not flexing too much to get off the ground. Think about lifting your foot off the ground rather than pushing your foot off the ground. And because basically look for ways to relax more is the simplest thing I can say. The fundamental instruction about walking is you want to walk as if you're a bad speed skater. And what I mean is, if you were standing and I asked you to just lift your left foot off the ground just a tiny bit, like 1 inch off the ground, don't do anything with your left leg. Just let it hang there, but bend at your hip just enough to get your foot an inch off the ground. And then push back with your right foot like you're skating. You're pushing back with your heel, and only use your left foot to keep you from landing on your face. You'll notice something interesting. When you land, you're going to land relatively flat-footed, maybe on the ball of your foot first, but otherwise flat-footed, with your foot really much directly under your center of mass. Then, lather, rinse, and repeat. Then, rather than kicking your right foot forward to take your next step, just lift it up enough while at the same time pushing your left foot back like you're a skater. And then use your right leg. Don't kick it forward. Just let it do just enough so you don't fall on your face. Let it catch you from falling. Lather, rinse, and repeat. And that's going to be using your body or using your muscles less than almost anything else. Hey, potential spam. I'm going to turn that off. So anyway, there's some advice for that. So again, take a look on our website in the Learn More section and play around with the walking info that I just gave you. Will we make more colorways from the Kelso, Gabby asks. Yes. Again, I can't tell you when, can't tell you what they are, but we already have them in the works. Can the Kelso shoes be used for basketball? It's a court shoe. I imagine so. We've had people play basketball in the 360. We've had people play basketball in the HFS. We've had people play basketball in the Prio. So I imagine so. I'll tell you, again, since it's a leather shoe, a little heavier than the 360 or than the HFS or the Prio, but should work. Gabby says, I like your honesty. I can't get Merrill's on either. That's really sweet. Jake says, hi, Steven. Hi, Steven. I'm saying, hi, Jake. Hi, Jake. And Jake says, hi, everyone. He's happy this is live. Proof that this is live. I just said, hi, Jake. I could hold up a newspaper, but then that would make it look like I'm a hostage. Great interview on BITR. Oh, thanks. That's really sweet. I had a lot of fun doing that. Eric says, that was from Nicholas. Eric says, is it possible to make a wide toe box zero drop mountain bike shoe? Very interesting question. I'll tell you a story. We were sponsoring, we still are, but a professional cycling team. We were giving them shoes to wear when they were off their bikes. Wait, you just reminded me, I got to reach out to them. Hold on. Call them and see what's going on. Anyway, A bunch of these guys finished a training ride, and they landed at this coffee shop in North Boulder, which, by the way, if you ever want to make $1 million, just show up at that coffee shop on any Sunday morning and just get a crane and steal the bike rack with all the bikes attached to it. Holy crap. I mean, there's like $20,000 bikes on that rack. Anyway, don't actually do that. Anyway, so they take off their cleats and put on some Prio, which he had sitting in the back of his jersey, and didn't want to put his cleats back on to get home, and just rode home in the Prio, and noticed he was putting out more watts than he did when he was clipped in. And he said, well, that's weird. I said, not at all. You're using your foot. You're engaging your foot. When you engage the arch, that makes the arch and the foot stronger, not just a dumb thing at the end of your leg, which also transfers up into the rest of your posterior chain. So I'm not surprised. We've had some mountain bikers say the same kind of thing. So we are entertaining that idea. One of our designers is actually a very avid mountain biker. But do me a favor, go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and leave some, put in that request and leave some comments about the features that you think that shoe would need. And that'll help get people off their butts to help make those things faster. Yeah, Rich says, yes, the Genesis clouds are my everyday wear. I love hearing that. They were mine too when I first came up with those. How do I feel about Wilding shoes, Bielenka, Freet, and Vivo Barefoot? I actually don't know enough. This is from Gabby. I don't own their shoes, so I can't really comment. I've seen pictures. I know I'm friendly with the owners of I'm friendly with the owners of Wilding and Vivo, but haven't met the people from Bielenka or Freet yet. But I don't know their shoes, so I can't say anything intelligent. I mean, I can say lots of things that are not intelligent, but what's the point? Are more leather shoes coming soon? Sneak peek. I literally do not remember what we're coming out with for the fall. We're already planning spring of 23. We're already planning fall of 23, which is mind blowing. But I don't store that information in my head because I got too many other things going on. Can I give us a tour of the new building renovations when we get into it, which isn't going to be for a while. So I'll definitely do that because it's going to be super exciting. We're outgrowing the space we're in. Really lucky. Space right across the street. They really want us as a tenant, and they've got like a huge space. They're willing to build it out however we want, which would be a blast. How can we help Xero shoes take over the shoe world? Just do what you're already doing. Just tell people about the fun and benefits you've had from wearing them. It's simple as that. Gum soles from Rich. Go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and say that. Derek, I saw one of the cactus leather shoes. It was Barefoot style. The 360 faux suede is nice and convincing. You're right. But the difference between faux suede and the faux leather is this is not used for places that do lots of flexing or that need the strength. It's protective and decorative, which is a different thing. So yeah, it's a whole different game. But thanks. I'm glad you saw those. We're going to take a look, or we are taking a look. Oops. Leaf, the reason I decided on your brand was partially because of the reviews and the review videos. The most important part is that you make a size 15 and most others don't. Dude, we're going to be going to 16 at some point. Ha! So there. And we just added 12 and a half. Most shoe companies don't go above 12. And the ones that do go from 12 to 13, which is what we did also, because proportionally, when you have a foot that big, the proportional difference between a 12 and a 13 is much smaller than the proportional difference if you're going from 7 to 7.5 or 7 to 8, for example. So we did the 12 and a half because we had enough requests at xeroshoes.com/feedback. So that's why you should go there. Am I going on TV anytime soon again? TV. Thinking about that. I'm going out to shoot a bunch of YouTube TV. Doesn't really count. But if for those of you who know Ben Patrick, the knees over toes guy, Ben and I have become friends, and I'm going out in a week and a half to hang out with him for a few days and shoot a bunch of YouTube stuff. So that's the closest thing that I can think of about TV. But, the footwear season is coming upon us, and our PR people, who are wonderful, are getting us out there more and more. So there's a high probability, but I don't have anything planned right now. Larry, my Z-Trails and Terraflex are dreamy. I love the layer foam. I've walked miles in both with incredible comfort. Thank you. Love your shoes. Oh, Lori, my apologies. Sorry. I'm not wearing my glasses because my eyes are crap at this distance and anything farther than my computer. And at my computer, they're iffy. But if I wear my glasses, I can't see anything. Lori also says, I have the Prios and I'm waiting on the HFS, going to try to get back into running barefoot style. It's all about natural. barefoot for running is just a synonym for natural, for doing what human beings have done since the beginning of human beings, which is you land with your feet underneath you, you land on your midfoot or the ball of your foot. Ball of the foot's technically a little better. You let your Achilles tendon work by letting your heel drop down and be part of that spring-like mechanism. You lift your foot off the ground instead of pushing your foot off the ground, and you have fun. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You can spot a good barefoot runner from about 50 yards. They have a really weird look on their face called smiling. So let's see. Any shoes without laces? Oh, wait, sorry. Which state has the most Xero shoes owner? Jake asks. I think California, but mostly because it's about population. California has more people. So if you look like California, New York, Florida, Texas, most people, and then Colorado's right on the heels of that. Again, pun intended. But I haven't looked at that in a little while, but I think those are the top 5. Let's see. But again, population density is one of the biggest reasons. Jeff asks, are we going to make more shoes without laces? Yes. One of the shoes that I know about that is coming out in the fall, very, very cool lace-free shoe. And a second one that I know is coming out in the fall that has laces, but it has something else to it as well that's really super cool. When I saw the design, I went, all right, it's pretty, it's neat, it's cool looking. But then I put it on and outrageous. The fit is incredible. I'm not going to say anymore because I don't have it here. Jethros, thanks for answering your question. My pleasure. One more. What are your views on toe socks? Beneficial or unnecessary? That is a false dichotomy. So they are socks. If you like them, great. If you don't like them, no big deal. I'm not a sock person. I'm also, you know what I am? I'm either, I don't know if it's that I'm about efficiency or that I'm lazy as crap, but anything that takes extra effort, this is going to sound really funny. I'm a sprinter, not a runner. I like things that, it's fast and efficient. And putting on any kind of sock, including toe socks, it's just more effort than I like to put out. I know that sounds ridiculous. It's just, too much work. So I know people who love them. I know people who don't like getting their toes in. So it's really just a personal preference. I don't have one. I will say that when I did wear shoes where I really needed socks, which has now been 14 years, I'm kind of bummed that I don't anymore. And I don't like wearing socks anymore because I have a great collection of tie-dye socks. A friend of mine got me a pair. He used to sell them at dead shows and gave me a pair. And they were really fun. And I really enjoyed that. And then I kept getting more and more and more. So I had a great collection of tie-dye. And the best thing about tie-dye, you don't have to pick matching socks. They never match. It's awesome. Lori, I wear my Prios for mountain bike riding. Oh, there you go. They work great. Gabby, do I like Lems? Again, I'm friendly with the owner. I don't really know the shoes. I will say, because as you may have noticed, I don't have a filter, that the new stuff they're making that's thicker and stiffer and narrower, I don't quite get it. Really liking the new Zelandis from Gabby and the blue Aptos. Want to get the blue Speed Force in the near future. I love the Speed Force. They're super fun. Rage says, I keep trying to get my barber to switch to Xero shoes. He has hip problems from standing all day and those awful arch supporters. We have so many people, so many reviews from people, haircutters, salon workers, hospital workers, warehouse workers, restaurant workers, people who do trade shows, our customer happiness team, who most of them have standing desks, who say just from using their feet naturally, getting out of the way, their feet feel fine at the end of the day. They're not having the issues they were having, then the problems they were having before that. So do your best, cross your fingers. James, I have small feet. Would I be able to wear the Dusty Trail Road and magenta color? Oh, for the Z Trail, sorry. Don't know. Go to xeroshoes.com/xerofit, XEROFIT. Scroll down near the bottom. You'll see, and actually on the women's Z Trail page, there should be a link to click that'll pop up something that'll let you print a template of those shoes and just print out the template, make sure it's the right size, see how your foot fits on it. That is the answer for that. Zach Bergen. Hey, Zach, I actually walk barefoot a lot. Please draw a scientific curve of surface roughness versus barefoot shod, normalized for time barefoot. Go. Okay. So I've known Zach since before Xero shoes. We met doing I think my first barefoot run. So this is 2007. So it's a really interesting thing. When I first started going barefoot, there were surfaces that I couldn't walk on, way too painful. even just like going out from our house into the driveway, into the mailbox, there was a bunch of gravel paths, and I tried walking on the gravel path, could not do it. And over time, I noticed that I started to be able to do it and started to enjoy it. And I wasn't getting tougher. I wasn't building up thick skin on my feet. I wasn't becoming less sensitive. It was actually, I think, the opposite. And there's no way to prove this. So I'm going to say things that are not scientifically proven, but they do make sense intuitively. I was landing with my foot more flat, so there's more surface area. Spread things out over more surface area. You don't get the same kind of pressure. I wasn't landing with my foot way out in front of me, which basically meant I was unweighted or I was overweighted when I put my foot down if it was in front of me. If you put your foot down underneath you, you're getting information before you fully weight yourself on that foot, which allowed me to come off more quickly. And I think, could be wrong, that my reflex arc improved as a result. So things that I used to step on that would be painful, I'd either not step on them, I'd step on them and it wouldn't bother me, or I'd step on and step off really quickly. This is one of those long-term research projects that would be really, really fun. If anyone has $1 million to sponsor it, let me know. So let's see. Jake, I am not going to read that one because I can't read compliments like that. That's just unpleasant. But thank you. Very kind of you. Rich Mercer, Velcro, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark. You don't need 3 exclamations to go with the 3 question marks. For adults or for kids is the question I'm going to ask you back. So there's that. And then you can let me know. Rich says toe socks all the way. Apparently Rich likes them. Are Naboso insoles and Naboso Trail sandals worth the extra money? That's from Derek. Depends on if you want that stimulation that you get from the Naboso Trail, the Naboso material. And if you like that and want that, the answer is yeah. Go to nabosotechnology.com and look at all of the information about what that product does, and then you'll be able to decide. How about a merino wool liner in a cool slip-on shoe? Cool, right? Eric says. Yes, it is cool. The question is, do we do merino wool, or backing up to the very beginning of the call, do we do things that are vegan friendly using a synthetic? Is an interesting kind of debate that we have around here that gets I was going to say gets heated, but it doesn't. We just hack it out and just try to figure out what's the best thing to do. But again, that's a great suggestion for going, if you go to xeroshoes.com/feedback. And there's a really good reason to make that suggestion that I can't tell you. Taylor, do you or have you ever used correct toes? I have them. I haven't used them because I don't need them. And if you see, I can't turn the camera down to show you my feet, but they're kind of spready. So it's not something that I use personally. We have a lot of people who have worn them in their shoes. And some of them do go up a half a size to accommodate that. It depends on your toes. It depends on the shoe you're talking about. So I know that there are people who've done them, and I know that Ray recommends many of our shoes to be worn with correct toes, but I can't tell you what to do sizing wise. Our customer happiness team may have more, what's the word I'm looking for, data about that. So you can reach out to them and see if they know more than I do. Gabby, this is why you like you, Steven. You're honest and straightforward. It's just that I can't edit. You know what it is? Most of you don't know this. If you do, it's because you're a stalker. I used to do stand-up comedy for a living. And the thing that happens to you when you're stand-up comedy, Jesus, you lose the ability to use English properly. The other thing that it makes you do is you get really, you grease the chute between your brain and your mouth. You basically get better at just like kind of hearing a little voice in your head and saying it before you think too much, which can get you in trouble. It can be really funny. It can also get you in a lot of trouble. And I have that really short, really greased wire between my brain and my face. So, and it's just easier to try to be circumspect. It's just too much effort. Gabby's all saying, like the Primal 2s, but I don't think most lems are minimal enough. So anyway, merino wool liners in a lot of shoes, heat regulating, moisture control, no stinky. I like that. Oh, this is the point where the tool that I'm using to broadcast this freezes on me. So I'm assuming, do me a favor, let me know if the video is still coming through. It seems like it is, but I'm frozen on my screen with a face that looks like this. Not fun. Let's see. Chan has comments about, for you, Gabby, about the Lems Boulder Boot. So you can read that. And Zach says you should only wear a shoe other than fashion if the surface is such that it affects your stride. Then use the minimum amount of sole You're welcome. LOL. I like that. Jeff, I love these. Thanks for answering my and everyone else's questions. Look, let me be honest. I do this for me. This is super fun. I mean, can you tell? So I really enjoy it, and it's important for us too. I like getting the feedback. I like hearing what people are thinking, and it's just a blast because otherwise I'm spending a lot of time just talking to the screen and not getting anything back, which is just not fun. Let's see what's next. Zach says, if you walk in tension, it hurts. If you soften your foot, it spreads over the surface and lessens the pressure points. Want to hear something interesting about pressure? Okay, I'll tell you. So the interesting thing about cushioning and why it doesn't work and why people think that it does work. So you have all these mechanoreceptors in your foot. You have things that are basically pressure sensors in your foot. What cushioning does is it spreads out the pressure so you don't feel it as much. More surface area, the same amount of pressure over more surface area. So it feels more comfortable. But the force doesn't change. So there's a difference between force and pressure. Force is sort of how much you're putting into whacking somebody. Pressure is how much they feel because of what's mitigating the feeling, but the force is still going through you. So the issue with cushioned shoes, the pressure gets spread out, but the force is still going through into your body. And if you're landing on your heel with a relatively outstretched leg, all that force is going up through your joints into your ankle, your knee, your hip, and your back, instead of letting you get that feedback and letting you use your muscles, ligaments, and tendons properly to be protective. So one way I want to show this, I'm dying to do this. I want to take somebody dressed in a foot costume and wrap him in a mattress and hit him with a baseball bat, and he'll won't even budge and won't feel a thing. And then hit him with a wrecking ball. And he'll say, I didn't feel a thing, as he's flown across the room. So force versus pressure. There's your physics lesson of the day. Ken, what's your favorite proper form analogy? Mine is run like you really need to poop. I'm expecting my third pair of Xero shoes soon. Don't poop in them. Mine is pretend you're Fred Flintstone starting your car. So his feet are behind him and they never catch up. You can't actually do that when you're running. You can't land with your feet behind you, but that's that image. Or the other one that I like to do, it's not so much an image, but it's a thing that I do when I'm teaching people how to run barefoot, is we go out in a park and I say, and I hope that there's like a 2-year-old there who's running around because their giant heads, lead the way and they can't do anything other than follow their giant head. So I have people do that. I go, let's, just lean your head and follow your giant head. Don't use your arms, let them just hang. And don't worry, no one's watching you. If they are, they're far enough away they can't tell who you are. And if you're having fun, they're going to want to do what you're doing anyway. And I say, do this until you're not self-conscious. Like lean and fall and try to catch up and you can't catch up. And just when you think you're catching up, lean another way. And then eventually just don't lean quite so much and just go forward just a little bit and don't let your feet catch up. That's one of my faves. Rich Murtha says neither for Velcro. Is that what you're talking about? Well, there's some debate about Velcro for kids. That's a whole other conversation. Actually, there are places where we are going to be using hook and loop or other closure methods for portions of a shoe. That's all I'm going to tell you. Gabby, Derek, great question. I've been considering Naboso sandals. Well, we already talked about that. I thought I heard Velcro mentioned earlier. Oh, I see. Thank you, Rich. Now I get it. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I can't follow. Like if you leave a bunch of comments, I can't follow the thread of what you said in my head almost ever. It's just too much. So FYI. Yikes, more things came in. KB, I have calluses on my heel. Ooh, interesting. Could be the walking reference on the website help minimize this. So look, calluses come from something really simple, excessive horizontal force, friction. So that suggests that you are landing on your heel more than you need to. When you're walking, it's cool to like roll over your heel, but you don't want to be landing on it and then pulling across the ground. That's the thing that can cause excessive friction, which causes calluses. So play with that thing I gave you of, lifting one foot up a little bit, push off with your planted foot like you're a skater, and let your front foot not do much, just keep you from falling on your face. And then just repeat that and then even it out. It'll feel, if you do it like step, wait, it'll look like you're Frankenstein, but then you'll even it out and it'll actually feel, you know what it is? Go watch videos of people walking in countries where they don't have indoor plumbing. So, or watch, video of like Indian or African women who are balancing things on their head and walking, and watch how they walk. And that's a really good barometer. Good, not barometer. It's a good thing to yardstick. It's a good something. Watch what they do. Do what they do. That's what I'm suggesting. Let's see. Can I invite Lena onto the next Q&A? What's she up to these days? That's from Jake. Lena, there's fewer things that she likes doing less than something like this. So I can invite her, but she won't come. So what's she doing these days? She is president of the company. She was our CFO, and now we have a new CFO and a COO who are taking over at a much higher level a lot of what she was doing as our company is growing. So she's really, Lena is the backbone of the company. She's the one who's wanted to reinvent capitalism by doing our equity crowdfunding raise. Well, that was kind of my idea, but we both really like that one. By having an incentive program, or more accurately, having a profit sharing inspired bonus plan for all of our employees where everyone splits an even, gets the same amount, because we believe everyone is equally important for the success of a business. And about a long-term incentive program where for our employees, if at some point, we get a huge influx of cash, they, again, get an equal amount, prorated if you're part-time, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. But, split evenly among people without the burden, the tax burden of things like options, which are misunderstood. So Lena's the one who thinks that the idea that businesses should only benefit the already wealthy or or just the founders doesn't make sense. And I agree. Jeff says it is. I don't remember what you said before, Jeff. Sorry, so I can't respond to that. Pressure is force per unit area. Thank you, Zach. I knew you'd come in with something like that. Let's see, Chris. Is a safety toe shoe in the future? It is. That's all I can say. Actually, I'll say this: really challenging to make it, because to make something that's a safety toe and has other protective features and still allows for natural movement there's a number of challenges that we have been working on very, very hard, because it's the number one request we get. Chan says, just got my first pair of Terraflex 2 on the spring sale. I was calling bullcrap on the claim that they're so good, they're so comfy. People have fallen asleep in them, but it's true. They're like trail slippers. Man, I love that. We've had so many stories of people forgetting they were wearing their shoes. It's really comical. A sales guy that was working for us was at a trade show, and he left the booth to go have lunch, and then he said, "Well, I better get back to the booth, and I better put my shoes back on." And he looks down, and he was wearing them. So we hear it all the time. Leif says, "Once the part of my day where I'm required to wear composite toe shoes, I switched to my Xero shoes. Oh, once that's over, I guess. I switched to my Xero shoes, and that part of my day, I cover around 8,000 to 13,000 steps, but it's the most comfortable part of my day." That is really sweet to hear. You know what? I'm going to comment about that. First of all, thank you. And secondly, for runners who are in shoes that look like this or worse, I'm not going to tell them to keep running. Or I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell them to switch to Xero shoes for running. I mean, sure, I think they should, but I'm not going to tell them to do it. And I'll tell you why. Check this one out. So we're going to do a little bit of math. There's a study from Dr. Sarah Ridge that shows that just walking in minimalist shoes like Xero shoes, she didn't use Xeros for the study, but she said the Xero shoes would give the same benefit as what she used. Just walking in Xero shoes built foot muscle strength as much as doing an 8-week foot exercise program. Just walking for 8 weeks, foot exercise program for 8 weeks, same amount of strength from just walking in Xero shoes. That's data point number one. Here's number two. Doing that exercise program, that 8-week exercise program for runners in regular shoes, the runners who did the exercise program over the course of a year, just an 8-week program, and over the course of a year, had 250% fewer injuries than the runners who just ran in regular shoes who didn't do the exercise program. Now, there isn't yet a study that shows that if you just walk in Xero shoes and run in whatever you want, you will have fewer injuries than people who just run in regular shoes. But let's do the math. Walking in Xero shoes builds foot muscle strength. Building foot muscle strength reduces injuries by 250%. Where does that leave you? So I'm saying to people who are running, just get out of your running shoes when you can and walk around in these to build that strength that the science shows reduces injury. Start there. Sound cool? I think so. All right. Gabby's off to the grocery store wearing my new Aptos. So easy to slip on, and I love that. Jethro, odd topic. Who's my favorite stand-up? Dude, what is this, Sophie's Choice? I have many, many, many favorite stand-ups, some of whom you've never heard of. They're old friends of mine who are funnier than people you have heard of. But the first name that popped into my brain when you said that was John Mulaney. And he's one of my favorite comics, and I despise him with a burning passion. Not really. I say that only because everyone who knows Mulaney says the same thing. Is he was so good from like day one. He is just crazy, crazy, crazy talented. So Mulaney is very high on my list. But there are so many people, people that you won't find. Ronnie Shakes, who died way too young, way back when, was one of the first brilliant one-liner comics before Stephen Wright even. Speaking of one-liners, Mitch Hedberg, brilliant comic. Stephen Wright, brilliant comic. You can't go wrong saying George Carlin and Richard Pryor, of course. But I'm thinking modern comics. I like Tig Notaro. I love Maria Bamford. I could literally do this all day long, actually. So I'm not going to do it. All right, let's see. Are there any of your models that would work well as a work boot? I would say the closest thing is our Excursion Fusion. I'm not going to tell you to do this, but I will tell you someone did this. He took the composite toe out of an existing shoe and just bought a pair of Mesa Trails, one size too big, and put it in there, and that's what he wears on at work. I'm not telling you to do it, just telling you someone did. Oh, Brad Williams. Brad's hysterical. So yeah, I really like Brad. And who else? Greg Giraldo. Greg Giraldo is the first comic I paid to see. I just loved him so much. And he was in Denver, and I paid actual money. It's literally not only the first comic I paid to see, the first time I ever paid to be in a comedy club. And I was very glad that I did. I'm very sad that he's no longer with us. Jeff, my heels get cracked and hurt when I wear Xero shoes. Do I have any suggestions? No, I unfortunately don't, because I haven't had that problem and I don't have any experience with it. So what I would say is contact our customer happiness team and ask them. Steven, Barefoot Truth has opened my eyes to so many lies in the world. What other truths can you share with us? You're never upset for the reason you think you are. That's the only one I'm going to share today. Is there going to be an HFS2? In other words, an upgrade? Yes. I think it's spring 23, but don't hold me to it. I don't remember. Parker Jackson just tuned in. Does the tread on your shoes wear evenly? It depends on if you walk evenly. So abrasion is abrasion. I have tried for quite a while to violate the laws of physics, many of them. Hasn't worked yet. So, look, if you're putting abrasion on one part of actually, I'll tell you this story. I got a call from a guy who said, there's something wrong with your rubber. It wears out on the outside edge of the heel. And I said, you're overstriding and heel striking. And he said, no, I don't do that. I said, send me a video of you running. So he sends me a video of him running. And at first I couldn't get the video to play, but I could hear it. And I could hear slap, 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 slap. And then I finally got the video to play, and he's overstriding and heel striking. So I get him on Zoom or Skype, and I show him the video frame by frame, overstriding, heel striking, overstriding, heel striking. It took 20 minutes till he agreed. I mean, we're drawing lines on the screen. Couldn't have been more obvious. It took 20 minutes till he agreed that was overstriding and heel striking. And then he said my favorite thing I've ever heard a human being say right after that, which was, yeah, but I don't do that. Dude, this is a video of you that you took and sent to me. So it's what you do. And the abrasion proved the point. So suffice it to say, it's the same rubber throughout. It will abrade however you abrade it. It's the best thing I can say. So hopefully that's useful. Roxy, I own 3 pairs of HFS, and after a while the sole starts to slide towards the heel. The sole, you mean the insole, if that's what you're referring to? I've heard of like 4 people who've said something like that with our shoes, where the insole slides a little. 2 solutions. One that I can think of, because I know it, which is take like a little bit of shoe goo, tiny bit of flexible epoxy, really thin little, dab in a couple places where your feet don't touch the sole, like, maybe in your arch or maybe like the outside edge near the toe, and try that. But I know that our customer happiness team had come up with another solution. I just don't remember what it is, but definitely contact them about that. Parker, I just bought a pair of Xero Prios. My feet hurt right now. My back pain is inflamed, which I think is due to my Vivos, because when I walk around barefoot, my feet start to feel better. So okay. So you conflated us with different products, so I don't know what to say. But here's what I'll say. If you feel better barefoot than in shoes, I was in the lab with Dr. Sands, who was the head of biomechanics for the US Olympic Committee. And what I saw, because it was from his research, is that when people put on different shoes, gait changed. And the only people who that didn't happen for is like Olympic level runners. You could put bricks on their feet, nothing changed. But for everybody else, their gait changed. One of the guys that in the study, he was an accomplished barefoot runner. Actually, he was an accomplished, quote, barefoot runner. He spent most of his time in five fingers. When he was in the five fingers, perfect form, could not have been better. As soon as he took them, other way around. When he was barefoot, perfect form, could not have been better. When he put on the five fingers, overstriding and heel striking. And here's the kicker, didn't know he was doing it. So the simplest thing we can say, Parker, is you're clearly, it seems, doing something different when you're in the shoes versus when you're not in the shoes. And so the thing to do is start kind of feeling out what's happening when you're barefoot and just wonder what you may be doing and just experiment. Try to make it worse. Not like, painful, like bad, like you're hurting yourself, but try to do something that makes it worse, because then that's going to give you a hint about what the opposite of that would be to make it better. So this is something I often recommend. The only way, if somebody's overstriding and I can't get them to not overstride by pointing out how to not overstride, I'll try to get them to do it more. And they go, oh, yeah. And then it's easier for them to come back to what's natural. So play with that. Eric, thanks for answering questions. Zero to the moon. Thank you. We actually, you know what? We've been helping some people who are working on some products for NASA. Eat Simple Food says, greetings from Austria. Wonderful to have you here. It's late. I just started reading the Catalyst book. Catalyst is really fun. And running 20 minutes every other day. Thank you. One Love 714. The nonstop Prios are a bit tight on me. Any advice? Contact our customer happiness team and see if you just need to get a bigger size. Roxy, but I really love my HSF. I get it. Or HFS. It's HFS, and that stands for something, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. Parker, question number 2. Do you think a long-distance runner could ever compete again barefoot? Yeah. I like to say Abibi Bikila won the marathon barefoot, and then his second marathon, they made him wear shoes, and then he died. So the simple answer is absolutely. There's no question in my mind. The very famous running coach, Dr. Phil Maffetone, he predicts that the first marathoner who will run a legitimate race, not a perfectly planned race with pacers under 2 hours at 1:59, will be someone barefoot. Now, the only issue is getting someone who's willing to do the training, because you may know that runners at that level get paid a lot of money to wear shoes, and bare feet don't pay the bills. So I have no doubt at some point it's going to happen from someone who grows up not in things that look like this and stays that way. So fingers crossed. Should the tread on my shoe wear evenly? Parker asks. The tread on your shoe is going to wear the way it wears based on what you're doing in your shoe. If you're running, it's going to be different than if you're walking. If you're stopping a skateboard or starting a skateboard, it's going to be different. It'll wear where there's abrasion. And I mean, all I can tell you is that if you're landing, think about it this way. If you just did this, here's the ground, here's your shoe. If you just did this all day long, then there'd never be any abrasion. Abrasion comes from horizontal force. So things will abrade if you're applying horizontal force. And it's almost impossible to just do this when you're running, or more accurately, when you're accelerating or decelerating. You can run at top speed and your foot is practically going vertical. You can run on ice. There's videos on our website showing people running on ice, because when you're at top speed, it can be very vertical, and that way you don't get you get almost no abrasion whatsoever. So abrasion is not a fundamental problem. It's just too much abrasion is. And again, we build our shoes with higher abrasion resistant rubber because we want them to last longer as well. Oh, John says to Parker, in the book Born to Run, it mentions a guy who put the shoe on the wrong foot when his outside sole were out. Oh, that's really funny. Good point. Tim McCoy, every person I've shown my Xeros to and explained has said how much I love them. Every single person has rattled off about how much they need arch support. It's amazing to me how people think they're magic, wonderful, special little snowflakes. You can show them a million people who have discovered they don't need arch support and their feet get stronger by not wearing support. And they'll go, yeah, but I need it. You can't argue. What you can say is, you can say things like this. You can say, have you tried without? In a truly minimalist shoe. You can say, what happens when you go to the beach? You can say, do whatever you want. But the research shows that supporting your arch is just like supporting any joint. If you don't let it move, it gets weaker. The research shows that putting arch support in the shoes of healthy individuals reduce their foot muscle size and strength by up to 17% in 12 weeks. When is weaker better than stronger? Arch support feels great because it's like lying back in a lazy boy chair. You're not using your muscles. It can be comfortable as a result. And when you start using your feet again, it can be like going to the gym and doing too many reps. You get sore as you build that strength back up. So, I don't even try to convince people any longer. I just try to give them the information and see if I can give them the experience. We've had hundreds of people come to our office when we were allowed to do that and start walking around in our shoes. And after a few minutes go, oh, wait, what about support? And I say, well, do you feel like you need it? They go, no. I go, then you don't. So that's the best I can suggest. Where's in the sole and balls of your feet? I think you'd understand if you read my full. Well, I saw that. But again, all I can tell you is where you're seeing abrasion is telling you what you're doing. And if you're running with really, best I can say, good form, landing with your foot underneath you rather than in front of you, or pushing off, then that's going to be, that will create less abrasion and less wear. But you're never going to get wear here because there's literally like no way, unless your foot is massively deformed and you're doing something crazy, there's just no way you can put that kind of force, abrasive force on this part of your shoe. It's just not going to happen. Similarly, there's other parts too, but I mean, this one in particular just doesn't happen. Especially if you have an arch, then this part of here's a weird way to think of it. If you get your feet mildly damp and then step on the ground and you have a footprint, the part of your foot that isn't touching the print, that it doesn't match what you see when you look down at your foot, that part will never abrade. Make sense? All right, let's see. Steven, what do I think about jumping on the trampoline? As a former gymnast, it's one of my favorite things. I like jumping on trampolines. It's your legs that are doing all the heavy lifting. The trampoline is you're working with the trampoline. You're putting the force in, and then the trampoline is just recoiling faster than you can. That's how trampolines work. Am I going to make a track spike that's minimalist, flexible with a wide toe box? Yep. The HFS are the best shoes I've ever worn. That was from Robert, by the way. Before that was from Tennis Man 11, asking about the track spike. Why are you asking about a sprinting spike when you're Tennis Man 11? The Yossi says Speed Force. Don't know why, but I like that you said it. It's my favorite shoe. It's right here. It's what I've been wearing. Leaf says, in normal shoes, I overpronate, but in Xero shoes are wearing evenly so far. Very interesting. One of the things about normal shoes, here's another physics lesson. So this edge is further out than where your heel is. And what that means is if you land on the outside edge of your shoe or your foot, which you're supposed to, this edge is further out and it's creating a moment arm. It's creating torque, creating excessive torque, which leads to excessive pronation. The shoe creates the problem that they then say they're trying to solve with arch supported motion control. It's mind-blowing. Would it be cool to have a sandal? This is from Eric. Oh, Tumble Bug says, I heart love Xero shoes. Thank you. Got to back up a little bit. Sorry, you can see Spring 23, social dist. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. Sorry. Viranjith, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Which has more feel, the Terraflex 2 or the Daylight Hiker? That's a really good question. I think there's a little more ground feel. Boy, that's a really good question. The thickness of the sole and the tread are very similar. In the Terraflex 2, there's a very thin layer of what we call trail foam to just add a little bit of extra trail protection. Because the Terraflex 2 was made to be a running, hiking, whatever shoe. The Daylight Hiker is more of a hiking shoe. So a little bit different. And so a little trail foam in that, not in the Terraflex, not in the Daylight Hiker. Oh, Tumblebug loves Xero shoes. I already said that. Oh, you said it again. No, I said it twice. Eric, would it be cool to have a sandal with loops through all the toes? No. And I'll tell you why. The reason why is because there's different foot shapes. And so some people, how do I want to describe this? Here, I'll do it this way. Some people, their toes are practically straight across. Some people, their toes go like this. And you can't make something that will accommodate those two differences, let alone the difference in toe width and where you'd have to put those things. People have tried it. There have been a number of people who've made sandals with things in each toe. Massive failure every time because you just can't. They don't fit and they're a pain to get on. And they don't actually They don't actually make things secure because what makes things insecure is again not landing with your foot underneath you. If you're on something muddy, suffice it to say, if you're landing with your foot in front of you on something muddy, you won't slip through, but you'll be jamming the webbing of all of your toes into the thongs. And I can tell you, not fun at all. All right, Bridget, just bought my 5th pair of Xero shoes. Thank you. The Oswego's have been perfect for that all-day wear with very little fatigue on my feet at the end of the day. And at 8 months pregnant, happy almost baby. Slipping them on and off are wonderful. I love hearing that. Thank you. Mr. Luna Rivera says, hi, I bought my pair of HFS and Genesis Huaraches. Have I ever thought to make a minimalist combat boot? Yes. To make it like a legit combat boot, it's a whole other story. To make it, acceptable by the military, whole other game. But there's other design elements in there that we've been looking into. Go to xeroshoes.com/feedback and leave that as a request. Jake says he loves Xero shoes too. Viranjit says, I said it correctly. Yay. And good question. I'm looking to buy either of them so I can do my 40th birthday hike in Sri Lanka. Oh, man. Sri Lanka is on my list of places I really want to go. And so hopefully that info will be useful. Frankly, you'd be probably fine in either. It just kind of depends on if you want the ankle protection, not support, just a little protection, versus a high top versus a low top is going to be a lot. What's our most breathable shoe without going to sandals? Aqua X Sport. I don't know if you can see through to see me, but I can see through and see you. This thing is made, this is the most breathable shoe that you can possibly think of. Super, super water friendly. You step in water, when you step out, water shoots out of it. It's crazy. The second most breathable shoe, I think, is probably, it's a toss-up, but it might be the 360 with the mesh upper and the 360. The HFS is pretty good. Wait, I'm looking around to see what else. Oh, well then, not a sandal, but hold on. Not surprisingly, then the Colorado. And what else? Those are, I think, the winners as I look around the table. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm at the end. Which shoes are best for my parents, 61 and 70 years old? Dude, I'm 60. So I don't know how. Actually, I'm not. I'm turning 60 in March. Wait, April, May, 3 months. But I'm having fun saying that I'm 60 now. So it doesn't matter, any of them. We have people in their 80s and 90s wearing pretty much everything we make. Let's see. Parker, would it be good to design a shoe with no treat in the arch? I'm not sure what that means. I think they would last longer. Do you mean like literally, carving that out? It won't make a difference. Let's see. My problem may have been that the Vivos have a tall enough tread to make a big difference once they wear. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, no tread is what you meant to say. They have no tread on the arch. If you mean here, honestly, dude, it probably won't matter because you just literally, here's the thing that if you could do it, I don't recommend doing this necessarily, but if have you ever done, when you go to the dentist and they want to show you where the plaque is on your teeth and they, or they're trying to, see if your bite is correct and they have you bite on like carbon paper and you can see where the abrasion is, or you can see where things are hitting or not hitting. If you did something like that and had, and put like a thin layer of something on your shoe, you can, this is what you're already seeing with the tread, but a thin layer of something on your shoe, and you did everything in your power to try to, to walk around or run around, you'd see that you just didn't touch a certain chunk right here where your arch is. So as long as that's not higher than the tread anywhere else, it's just not going to make a difference. And so, getting rid of it won't do anything either, because you're just not really touching it, because it just doesn't really contact the ground in the way that I think you're imagining. So anyway, that's my take from just understanding shoes and physics. Let's see. John, looks like I'm buying some aqua shoes. The Aqua X Sport is a great one. Viren G says I look 40. No, I don't. But thank you. Yeah, tread. Yeah, it's not, dude. It's not going to matter. I don't know why I'm saying dude. Look on here. You can see there's basically no tread right here in the arch. The tread is just right here. This is basically almost the same height though, but this is just not where your foot contacts the ground. So do with that what you will. Would I interview Pastor Steven L. Anderson from Tempe, Arizona? He loves barefoot running and would be an interesting guest on the movement. Happy to. Send me an email, or send an email to support@xeroshoes.com. Tell them to forward it to me with his info, and I'll reach out. And Parker, I'll try that out. Thanks. Any tips for recovering from shin splints? I don't have a really good answer for that. Shin splints often come from excessive dorsiflexion, so you're lifting your toes up too much when you don't need to. And so the first thing you want to do is, do whatever you need to do to, if you have any tissue damage, to heal that, which is going to be rest and heat and whatever else you can think of. See a physical therapist. But the other thing is see how much more you can relax when you're walking or running. See how little you need to, dorsiflex your foot, point your toes towards your knees. See what that does. Find a good podiatric person or physical therapist who understands natural movement. And if you can't find one, drop an email to us and we can possibly point you to somebody. Oh my gosh, Michael G, please never stop making the Hanas. I own 2 pair and they've been my everyday shoes for several years. We won't. It's the first closed-toe shoe we made, and we will keep making it because we love it too. There's one right up there. I've gotten to the end. All right, so I'm going to call it an evening. I'm going to give you one last chance for one last comment, and then I'm going to get out of here because I am hungry and I'm the one who makes dinner, and I know Lena's waiting for me. And we've been renovating a house that we moved into, and they did apparently a lot of work today, and I can't wait to go home and see the new door and the paint job and the drywall and maybe the new stairs. We'll see. All right, a couple things. Tumblebug says thanks. Thank you. UNC says thanks for your time. You're welcome. Can we Denver Summer Edition? Interesting. Submit that at xeroshoes.com/feedback. Come to Sri Lanka with us in December. Oh, I like the idea. I don't know if I can. UNC says thanks for your time again. I'm saying thanks again back. Eat Simple Food. Thanks again. When's the next AMA? I do these on the third Tuesday, is that right? Is this the third Tuesday? Third Tuesday of every month. And are the Torontos discontinued for now? If you like them, then submit at xeroshoes.com/feedback that you want them to come back. Foxy, I want some shoes. Which shoes are good for regular walking around? All of them. Everything we make. We have people who literally do everything in everything we make. You can't go, if you're walking, you can't go wrong in anything we make. Tennis Man 11 says thanks. Luna Rivera says thanks, love the shoes. Says thanks, love the shoes. Okay, enough of the thank yous. Thank you. I say this at the end of every one of these events because it's true, and I think it's important to say. Lena and I, when we started this, it was a corner of a spare bedroom that we were running the business out of. We had no idea that we were going to be doing this. And we could not be more grateful for all of you, and more for the fact that we've heard all these stories of how, your lives have been changed from finding something comfortable or, having other things improve that you didn't imagine were possible to improve. Running, walking, hiking again, for maybe the first time pain-free ever or in years. It's talking to you guys that gets us out of bed in the morning. It's hearing these stories that get us out of bed in the morning. Running a business, really challenging for a lot of reasons. And we do this because of you. And so I just want to thank you. A couple things came in. DIY Sandals in the EU store. We'll see what we can do about that. It's really tricky from a fulfillment standpoint. So we're working on that. Carolyn, love my Xero shoes, bought my first pair 3 years ago, and I'm over 60. I'm getting there. Inga has 2 hearts. Thank you. Tumblebug, go live feet first, Steven. I'm going to say that to you. Go out, all of you. Thank you so much for being part of this Ask Me Anything. It's been a total pleasure, a total treat. And all I can say is go out and have some fun and live life feet first.